maybe. Okay, we're live at least, so there's no worry there. Hello! Hi. I'm gonna press the start so it's not silent. Is this the right? My controller's not even plugged in. I am tired. It's July and it's really hot. Do I need to? Yeah, okay. Hello. There we go. Next video is supposed to be planes too. We'll see if I keep up with that. These videos, because what's up? I'm tired. And yeah. Trolls already. Okay. It's gonna be an interesting day, I guess. So, do you plan on playing any modern games? Not really. Modern games are too expensive. So the point of this stream is to basically tell if the microphone is working. I had a blue snowball, but it randomly kept disconnecting, which was annoying because sometimes it happened after reading a lot of script. Best Craig of the Creek character is probably Omar. My teeth are not in pain at the moment. So, the story of the microphone is crazy. What show am I on in Seeing Real? I'll tell you what show I'm on. I am on Uncle Grandpa because I hate myself. I really, really wish I wasn't. Did you get a Spencer? I don't know what that is. But yeah, I had a blue snowball. I was using it for like 10 years, and then randomly, I stopped working. Well, it did work until it didn't want to work, and the audio was cutting out so much. I just had to keep plugging it back in for it to work. So I ordered a new one, and it didn't work at all for some reason. But luckily, I found one of my old microphones in the closet. This Blue Yeti thing here. I stopped using it way back when because I didn't know how to use it. And all of my videos sounded like they came out of a tin can. I think that was back in like 2019. No, I do not have sponsors. So to make sure I don't sound like I'm coming from a tin can, that's what we're doing today. Yes, there are 150 episodes of Uncle Grandpa, which is proof that there is no God. While explaining that, I think I missed a bunch of talking. Uncle Grandpa episode will be like the rise of the... no, that's probably gonna be Clarence, because a lot of people like that, and I have no idea, because I will state my opinion on Clarence. It is awful. Clarence is so awful, I felt like it's basically on the same level of quality as SpongeBob Season 6, and no, that's not an exaggeration. I watch speedrun history videos sometimes. Uncle Grandpa should have been the background in another cartoon because that's its quality. Just being really harsh, because like it has about the same amount of substance as Itchy and Scratchy. Where the Dead Go to Die is not a real movie. I refuse to believe it is a real movie. Teen Titans Go is better than Uncle Grandpa, yes. I'll tell you what's wrong with Clarence. Clarence causes hell for everyone around him and almost never suffers consequences. Or if he does suffer consequences, he gets the most minimal of consequences. Like, one episode is about him becoming a delinquent because he lost 5 minutes of recess, and his punishment at the end is getting his very own recess. Infinity Train is one of the best Cartoon Network series. Everything is better than Problem Solvers. I've not rewatched the original Powerpuff for this marathon, but I know it well enough I can talk about it. Yes, Uncle Grandpa is on CN Real, unfortunately. And like most spin-offs, it is worse than the show it came from. How do you feel about the guy who made Samurai Jackets making adult animation movie? I think the movie is called Fixed. It doesn't look like it's going to be good. Just putting that out there. I see. This game is actually a lot harder to play while paying attention than I thought. So I might have to find another game. We're going to find another game. That's what I think we're going to do. We're going to go to, let's see. Why is Fungus Among Us a bad SpongeBob episode? Because it's really, really gross. Clarence is the 4th worst Cartoon Network show. And that says nothing about its own quality. Yes, I am playing this on an emulator, as I am about to prove. Let's see. What game can we play? The NES is terrible for this, by the way. I don't have enough options. Thank you for the donation. Worst episode of Proud Family? I have not seen that in forever. Hey Doc, I'm guessing it's Bugs Bunny's birthday today. Let's do this one. This is a good one. I have not seen Elio, but I want to see Elio. What's wrong with Clarence? Everything is wrong with Clarence. It's ugly. It's ugly as sin. P, yeah, that'll work. I'm gonna play as P today. I'm gonna get the sword today. My favorite Superman cartoon is the Justice League animated from the 2000s. SpongeBob's house party is bad. Oh yeah, Clarence's voice is bad. It's bad in a way where I can't understand what he's saying for a lot of the time, which is bad because he's the main character. Clarence is like one of the ugliest shows I have ever seen. I'm just going to be really forward with that. I mean, it's not as bad as Problem Solvers because it doesn't give you seizures, but it's bad. It's really, really bad. You know what? I'm going to get a better controller. We're going to play a more modern console. Is Clarence worse than seasons 3 and 4 of Dexter's Lab? Honestly, they're neck and neck. I got a new microphone, and I'm testing to see if all the settings are right. I was using an NES controller for the NES games. We're not going to be playing NES games. Let's see. Let us go to the Super Nintendo, because the Super Nintendo is better. It's still a question of what console to play. My thoughts on Amphibia. I've seen a little bit of Amphibia. I like it so far. Thank you for the donation. Nah, even in later Clarence, it still has the same problems. Clarence is still making everyone miserable. Like, the Storm special. Because Clarence wanted to have a slumber party with all of his friends, he flushes keys down the toilet. He never gets better. Ever. This one. Hello. I have seen a few of Don Bluth's works. This is ActRaiser. We're gonna play this game. It's like a city simulation game, sort of. What is the biggest surprise? Juniper Lee. Ted. Sure. God's name is Ted now. My favorite Ed's World episode is Ruined. So we're going to be playing this game. But first I'm going to move the message speed up to fast. Johnny Bravo is timeless. So this is one of my favorite games of all time. It's 2 games in 1. Clarence is a menace to society. Like, this is no exaggeration. He has the same characterization as SpongeBob from Season 6. He wants to make Squidward miserable. The plot and universe falls in line to make him allow him to do it. Okay, why is the audio of this so low? That's why the audio is low. Okay. Game's got good music. Well, as I understand it, some people like Clarence and some people hate it. I think it's divisive. When it comes to Camp Lazlo, either you like it or you don't care about it. The Planes 2 review is going to be in August. I'm probably going to be taking the next week off because I've been neglecting to do that for a while. Are you going to review Secret Staycation? I already talked about Patrick's Staycation. Which CN show has the best art style? That is a good question. Over the Garden Wall puts a lot into its atmosphere. I don't know if I'd call it the absolute best. Samurai Jack definitely does have good art direction. Except in Season 5 when it goes downhill a bit. My favorite 2000s cartoon is Avatar. I could play and beat this game with my eyes closed. I already made a video on the Futurama Hulu revival run, and I haven't kept up with it since. Yeah, I know about the new Tartakovsky movie. It doesn't look good. We can escape Ren and Stimpy, but we cannot escape its influence. I did watch Sheep in the Big City. It just took me like one single solitary day. Oh yeah, I heard they're making a live-action MLP movie, which is going to be the most bizarre thing I've ever heard about. So the deal with this game is that half of it is the action platformer like Castlevania. The other half of it is a sort of city simulation. It's kind of minimal for a city simulator, though. Are you going to review Professor Squidward? Probably not. Yeah, they're making a live-action MLP, I've heard. They're probably going to be making it the same way they made the Tetris trilogy. I just wish more adult animated films weren't, you know, like Fixed or Sausage Party. Are you a fan of Naruto? I have not seen that since I was a kid. So you gotta use your god powers to light the trees on fire. That's how you play the game. Thought about reviewing cartoon episodes of live-action shows. I don't think there are enough of those. You get an occasional Christmas episode every now and again. When I'm not burdened down by stuff like Seeing Real, I am planning on doing an every episode reviewed of My Little Pony. What show is not as bad as you remember? I don't come across that too often, believe it or not. I mean, I guess I could say I was overly harsh on Flapjack when I did the Love Bugs review. Let the people down, thank you. Yeah, I know there's a real Tetris movie. Okay, all the trees are on fire. I already talked about Oral Report in the Patrick list. What cartoon will be the first on Seeing Real episode? If all goes according to plan and things are done chronologically, it'd be Space Ghost Coast to Coast. But if I don't finish that particular episode, I'll just do them in whatever order they're done in. Because Space Ghost Coast to Coast is not a show that's worth talking about, really. What did you think of Sheep in the Big City? That one was really, really good. Don't binge it, though, because its style of jokes do get old. One of the Clone Wars series, yes, will be on Seeing Real. The problem with Space Ghost Coast to Coast is that it relies on one gag, a cartoon guy interviewing real people, and because of the internet, we have so many people doing that shtick way better. Like, I think even Hot Ones has a spin-off where they talk to cartoon characters. I'm gonna be honest, I'm never gonna remember anything about I Am Weasel for as long as I live. Yeah, this is not... this is Mario. Didn't you hear from your parents? All video games ever are Marios. Okay, so what you want to do next is do this. Yeah, Peter Griffin was. And another big problem with Space Ghost is that like 90% of the people on the show aren't relevant. I don't know who they are. Because they're no longer a part of the zeitgeist. What CN Real video do you think will get the least attention? Long Live the Royals. Because you've never heard of it before and you don't care about it. What was the last episode of a cartoon you watched? I watched more Uncle Grandpa this afternoon. My issue with Uncle Grandpa is that it's the kind of cartoon that they put on the background of a real cartoon. Favorite Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon show? My favorite Cartoon Network show is Craig of the Creek, and my favorite Nick one is Avatar. Thank you for the donation. I mean, I won't deny that Space Ghost is super influential, but, like, that's not exactly the point of a review. I mean, I gotta tell you my opinions on it, and my opinions on it, it's for a different time. It's not the only show like that, though. I hope that Uncle Grandpa gets better. I'm still lost in Season 1 land, but it's not winning me over. Yeah, this is the weirdest Mario game. You're gonna have to wait for the review to tell me, or for me to tell you what exactly about Craig of the Creek I love. And even then, its own full review with spoilers and stuff. What videos do you expect to get the biggest backlash? The Steven Universe Future, Camp Laszlo, and Clarence, apparently. Maybe Mixels, if anyone cares about Mixels, because I viscerally hated Mixels. No, the characters of Uncle Grandpa don't annoy me. Like, I don't have any attachment to them in any way whatsoever. Favorite gem is Paradoth. What'd you think of Clarence? Clarence is the best. I am, like, super harsh on Steven Universe Future. How many days did... I have no idea how long they were in Camp Kidney for. This is ActRaiser. I should probably change the title. It's a ROM hack. It's a ROM hack of Super Mario Bros. 3. That's the secret. That's the secret. There we go. There we go. No clickbait anymore. I have seen the new Phineas and Ferb episodes that everyone's talking about. The one where the Candace suit eats people, because that's freaky. I am on Uncle Grandpa. Sounds like that. No, that's probably the AC unit, because it's summer. I have not gotten to Billy and Mandy. I'm saving. That's probably gonna be one of the last ones I'm gonna do because of Halloween. Thoughts on Uncle Grandpa so far? Uncle Grandpa is the kind of show that they put on the background of real shows. What CN show do you think would be the most controversial? I'm going to guess The Foster's Home is the most controversial in viewer opinion. But yes, the point of this stream is to test my microphone. Uncle Grandpa made me can't. Okay, that's a bit extreme, you know. There are other shows. You don't have to do that. I think I'm thoroughly fair on the original Steven Universe. Like, I give it criticism where it's due, but I do praise it quite a bit. Uncle Grandpa doesn't really tell stories. It's just surreal gag after surreal gag. And it doesn't really have much of a premise. Like, it would be harsh to say there's no thought put into it, but, like, it feels like it's just a mess of notes. I think we all know why Steven Universe has backlash. Which is the worst of those three shows? Clarence. Like, the fan noise is definitely the AC. Don't worry, I won't be recording with it on. Which is unfortunate because it's still the summer. Was Clarence really that bad? Yes. Like, it is one of those shows that I regret not putting on my worst of the 2010s list. Like, I watched all of it. I want to be clear. I viscerally hated it. And it didn't help that it was one of the longest shows out there. I mean, like, maybe by some minute details, Clarence did get better as it went on. But, like, the problem is that it didn't solve its main problems. Like, no matter how well it got, it never didn't look like Clarence. The only exposure I've had to Villainous is one episode and the Victor and Valentino crossover. And I think it's really good. So you get the magic that's useless. Do you have a favorite Clarence episode? No. Clarence is the kind of show that reads the Goosebumps episode, Go Eat Worms, and then thinks, maybe it's a good thing to put a character through that experience. Hated the Worms episode. That was stupid. I hated Clarence flushing the keys down the toilet. I hated him breaking an arcade and messing up a supermarket back-to-back, and him not being able to keep the secret of either of his friends in almost back-to-back episodes. He does so much stupid shit. I have not gotten to Evil Con Carne. The original Goosebumps movie is actually, like, really good. Bart Flesh? I think that's a different show. No, Clarence during the storm, like 6-parters, wanted to keep a slumber party going with all of his friends, even though they were in a storm being held hostage by a crazy cashier. But he flushed the keys down the toilet. Oh yeah, that's the first episode. Clarence stole the fries when he was told not to do that. And of course, it was seen as a good thing by the end of the episode, because that's the point. Everyone needs to get over their insecurities and become playthings for Clarence. Here's another problem with Clarence. Even in its best episodes, I've seen it done better. Like, I don't know how fair this is, but, like, I watched Craig of the Creek before I watched Clarence, and, while I will say the phone episode of Clarence can be charming, it doesn't hold a candle to Doorway to Helen from Craig of the Creek. Like, another problem with Clarence is that it's in a very crowded genre. Oh, Clarence is definitely a gross-out show. Because one episode was so gross, it got banned, and that's not even the grossest episode of the show. That does get toned down as the show goes on, but it never goes away entirely. Well, no. It's more than just a cartoon. I don't exactly know what you'd call the genre. Is Clarence more gross than Flapjack? Not consistently. Its grossest moments are more gross than Flapjack's average. But on average, Flapjack is more gross. Slice of life, I guess, is more of a subgenre. Thank you for the donation. Does it offend you when some characters are diagnosed with autism, whether or not they have it? I think diagnosing cartoon characters is a discussion that's best reserved for, like, an actual video. It's not exactly something you'd want to talk about off the cuff. The worst Squidward torture episode is probably still Choir Boys. My favorite Craig of the Creek episode is the second to last one. I forget its name off the top of my head. What made you so mad about Steven Universe Future? It bastardizes each and every one of the characters and constantly makes stupid decisions. And it does everything for the sake of forcing in its themes. What parts of Juniper Lee did you not like? The first half of Juniper Lee is kind of boring and meh. Then it gets really good. The Steven Universe crossover with Uncle Grandpa is actually pretty good, and I will defend that. I have complicated feelings about Flapjack. Do you like Clarence's mom? No, because of her, Clarence exists. Plain and simple. Name an episode of any series that's more disgusting than the Splinter. Too Gross from Comfort, from Clarence. I did not see the new South Park episode. Oh yeah, Sanjay and Craig wasn't on the list when it really, really should be. Oh yeah, Unbarfable. That is still really bad. I have not seen Adventure Time from beginning to end like I have with a regular show yet. I hate this boss. Thank you for the donation. Have you seen Schaeferless's review of the new Smurfs movie? No, I have not. Not for the marathon, but I have seen a regular show from beginning to end in the past. Maybe not every single episode. This is not a chimera, this is a manticore. There's a difference. The worst Clarence episode is Too Gross for Comfort. Plain and simple. What episode of SpongeBob angers you? I mean, Pet Sitter Pat is still a very not good episode. Okay, in this level, you gotta use the sun to get rid of the marshlands. The worst modern... thank you for the donation. The worst new modern... SpongeBob episode. Good question. I don't know. I don't think I have seen every Animaniacs episode. What other shows do you regret not putting on your worst of 20? I think it's already been said. Sanjay and Greg. I am sorry to hear that, Kristen. Okay, so... Oh, I don't have enough power. What cartoons would you consider funnier than SpongeBob? Animaniacs? I mean, there's a lot of cartoons that are funnier, for sure. How would you describe Little Samson for the NES? That's an underrated classic. Why have you never done any best of the decade list? I don't know. Top 10 lists these days don't get the views that they used to. Cosmic Panda. Yes, I do remember the Simpsons crossover. We gotta use the bridge. That's right. Honestly, I remember very little about the Buzz on Maggie, even though I watched literally every episode for the review. How would you rate this game? ActRaiser is a top 20 Super Nintendo game. I hear it. I think it does have a remake on Steam, but it's got. I hear it's got problems. I don't know anything about it though. Thoughts on Sheep in the Big City? It is really funny. But meta humor shows aren't something you should binge, like I did. What do you think of the Simpsons Family Guy crossover? I remember nothing about it. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. The worst episode of Chowder is a Fair to Remember. Because a Fair to Remember is why I do not like Panini at all. Here's the thing that sets My Gym Partner's a Monkey apart from a lot of the other terrible 2000 shows. It has an interesting premise that it kind of uses. Like, it does have a cool premise. Unlike, say, Squirrel Boy, which just has a character who is a squirrel. No, I would not advise against meta humor shows. Then I'd have to advise against Phineas and Ferb, and that's not something I'm going to do. Are you going to review another SpongeBob? Are you do another SpongeBob review? I'm pretty much contractually obligated to at some point. Oh yeah, all the Cartoon Network shows had games too. Thank you for the donation. Will you watch The Owl House? Yes, that is going to be like one of the first things I watch when my schedule isn't so jam-packed. Which is worse, Monsters vs. Aliens or Home? Monsters vs. Aliens is the second worst DreamWorks film after Shark Tale. I did not see the SpongeBob special. Okay, so now we gotta get the life, the wheat, and we need the bread. We used the bread on Teddy. Did you get an Elio Hap? No. I didn't even know that McDonald's had that. Okay, so we take the skull, take the wheat, and we do this. So these red devils here are the most annoying enemy in the game. Because they destroy farms, and the only way you can fix farms is with rain, which costs too much mana. Do you like the Beatles? Yes, I do. Oops. Why don't you like Monsters vs. Aliens? It's not funny, and it's horrible, and it looks ugly as sin. Read It and Weep is the worst Foster's Home episode. Unfortunately, it's not one I can talk about without talking about the context of the entire show. Do you have any bloopers to your videos? Yes, but I generally don't put them in the video. SpongeBob obviously had the worst seasonal rot besides Family Guy. Monsters vs. Aliens movie is ugly as sin. The Monsters vs. Aliens show wasn't even finished. There we go. The best Family Guy episode is PTV. Nah, not Road to Rhode Island, PTV. So when there's only one monster left, you can do this. I have not watched that episode of SpongeBob yet, no. I mean, the problem with Family Guy is what it is. It's a shock show, and unfortunately for it, so many other shows have surpassed it in being able to shock. So now it's just in a null zone. I think I said in the video of the 100 cartoon episodes that I wasn't specifically going out of my way to pick the best episodes. Just interesting choices. I can't believe you never reviewed Stewie is Dead. I never reviewed it because it's stupid. Like, I can't say anything about that episode that I didn't say about Fresh Air. It's all the same. It's just shock for the sake of shock. What happens to your old microphone that caused it to break? It's just what happens to technology over time. Chicken Little is worse than Ralph Breaks the Internet. Oh yeah, there's tons of things that I planned to review that never got made because of one thing or another. Mau Mau Heroes of Pure Heart is pretty alright. Yay, I got a level. Okay, there are 4. My favorite Simpsons episode, that's a mystery for another day. I don't count Mixels as a real cartoon because it's not a real cartoon, it is a commercial. Around Springfield is pretty good. That's a nice one. Oh yeah, I'm definitely excited for the new Gumball episodes. I'm especially glad that they called it like a completely different series, so I don't have to cheat. We need the magical stardust. We need this. We need this. From here, we use the offering to do that. Chicken Little is worse than Cars. Yes, Planes 2 is worse than Lion King 2019. Like, I'm gonna be a little bit of a spoiler there, but Planes 2 is actually kind of in the offensive category. Like, it's not just a bad film, it's kind of offensive. Which, yeah, I know sounds weird because it's planes. But I gotta make the case for it. Cars is worse than A Bug's Life. I forgot to change my magic. Yay. Okay, so Planes 2 is a little bit more than that. So Planes 2 is about the main character getting a disability, deciding to become a firefighter, not telling anyone he has this disability, and nearly getting a bunch of people killed. Also, the villain in the movie is willing to let everyone die in a fire because he likes his lodge a lot. That's Planes 2. No, They try to become firefight. He tries to become a firefighting plane. That's the premise of the movie. Like, it's called Fire and Rescue. Happy birthday to you. Eh. I am nearly dead. Hate those things. What show has the best background music? Glitch Text. I gotta pay attention right now or I'm going to die. I am going to die. Once Upon a Studio is going to become an attraction. That's pretty cool. The reason you don't want to die in this game is because score is actually very important. If you want to 100% of the game, you need a high score. Not that it matters in this run. The best cartoon with bad animation is Wish Fart. Okay. So we fight the sorcerer guy. I've never even played Ren and Stimpy's Time Warp. Ah. He throws lightning at us. He does that a lot. And then he becomes a werewolf. Ow. My favorite episode of Clarence is the one where everyone gets tired of Clarence and they just get rid of him. What's the worst cartoon with great animation? That's a good question. I don't know. Now everyone is fighting. Is Planes 2 worse than Mulan 2? Yes. Summer Camp, I forgot to change my magic again. I watched Chicken Little last year. What is the worst thing about Clarence? Clarence is the worst thing about Clarence. The show falls apart because of its titular character. He is the worst protagonist of all of them. The only one who comes close is Alfie from Problem Solvers. But they're bad for the same reason. The worst Simpsons episode is Mona Lisa. That one is awful. No, I am not a fan of Clarence the show. Progress is going steadily. It is my job to watch terrible movies and cartoons. No, Clarence is not pleasant to look at. Its art style is hideous. this. Okay, that's totally useless to me. Simpsons Season 9 is alright. Oh no, Sherlock Gnomes. I watched the first Gnome movie. I watched Gnomeo and Juliet, and it was one of the most tedious experiences of my fucking life. Oh yeah, I really, really hate Clarence. Kill Ant Lion. Come on. Come on. Dad, it's... What's the difference between Clarence's art style and something like Craig of the Creek or Infinity Train? There's this principle of animation called appeal. Clarence doesn't have it. French fries. No, I did not fix the Norm of the North copyright situation. It wasn't just like a... It's hard to describe offhand. I don't remember all the details. Okay, so we're going to the Sky Palace, and I am changing my magic. CalArts. It's not even the quote-unquote CalArts art style. Oh, by the way, I heard that debate is coming back. You know, the debate over the bean mouth art style. We gotta do this. I thought Twitter was the one who was defending the art style. But now that Pixar movies are apparently bombing, it's come back, and now everyone's saying that it was a bad art style to begin with. Favorite Disney villain in the Walt era? I'd have to think about that. Honestly, at this point, I think it's a discussion to have. But, like, first of all, like, it's not technically called the CalArts art style. Like, that's a bit of a distraction from this whole thing, but... Sheep in the Big City is pretty good. It's like a B+ show. I still have to do Powerpuff 2016. If you want to know the technical term for it, it's called thin line art style. Which, I don't know, it doesn't sound accurate either. Get rid of these guys. Gonna destroy the farmland. No, I think there's merit to debating art styles. Especially if so many people are having a reaction to it. Like, I can't say it's the reason that, like, Elio failed, as some people are saying. do this. Well, I mean, before in the 2000s, most of the cartoons went for a sort of Flash style. Okay, so because you saved the guy, somebody is so sad, they invent music. Also, there's a pyramid. This entire level just makes me think of the Fairly Odd Parents gag where Chester wishes it would rain on the desert and it turns it into a swampland. There is a version of this game on Steam. I don't know the differences. Go away. Go away. I mean, technically there are infinite art styles, but there are some consolidated movements. Yes, I am playing on an emulator. I actually have the cartridge, though. I have never played the Neo Geo. Okay, so go away, thing. Go away, devil. My favorite Ben 10 alien is Ghost Freak, and I hate that they turned him into a villain, and I wish they actually used him. There we go. Okay, so now all of the things are gone. We're gonna have to speed up because I do need to gain a level before we go into the pyramid. I am on Uncle Grandpa. So we go on speed up. Thank you for the donation. Do you know the Ben 10 alien species names? I am never going to remember that offhand. Thank you for the donation. Okay, so we are at this. This gives us enough ability to use the earthquake, and now we can just destroy everyone. Yeah, everyone's dead. But I get a jewel for doing it, so we're gonna take it. We need the music. We need this, we need this. How long have we been going? About an hour, and I think this has been good for a mic test. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go to the pyramid, and that'll be it for today. And I'll probably do one more stream by the end of the month, because today's point was just to test the voice, test the microphone. And next time it'll be way more organized. So we're going to go into the pyramid. Yes, my birthday was on the 21st. I meant to do a birthday stream, like, immediately afterwards, but, I was busy with everything. Thank you. Maybe next year, if I'm not doing something specific, we might do something specific. Yes, I do think Class of 3000 should have been a lot more popular. There. So we go this way. What's the best era of Nickelodeon? Not the 2010s. Maybe early 2000s. Get out of the spikes. Get out of the spikes. Thought of playing Yu-Gi-Oh? Maybe. I don't know who I'd play them against. And if I play them on stream, my opponents would be able to see my strategies. What's your favorite anime? Frieren. I haven't seen all of it, but from what I've seen, it's really good. I need to just watch more stuff in general. Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories is not exactly what I'd call fun to play. It's even less fun to watch. I hear people actually like the How to Train Your Dragon remake. Up we go. Okay, then there's... we need this. This asshole. Then we go down this way. Okay. Yeah, I'll probably be making a Cartoon Network tier list when I'm done. Anyway, I think we're done here. The microphone clearly works. And I am tired. I will see you guys soon enough, I am sure. But now everyone is dying due to the plague, so that's a happy place to end it. I will see you guys all